Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm D, and this is High Off Blue Hour. It's actually been a while since I've done a video, but life comes at you fast. But I'm back at it again, and I wanted to talk about LTX Studio. If you've been on this channel before at all, and I guess I'll let you know if you haven't, I'm a pretty regular user of AI image generation. I've got multiple videos that talk a bit about using Midjourney for different things, and though I haven't talked about it on this channel, I've also dabbled a bit in AI music generation, which is still something that I'm kind of in the process of wrapping my head around, but it's quickly become something that's very intriguing. But I've never actually really looked too deeply into AI video generation, simply because it always seemed like it was just a little bit too early. I could see down the road how it would be something very impressive, but at the time it just seemed like something that was too janky looking to really take serious. But lately I've decided to go ahead and try my hand at messing around with some of the AI video generation, and so the first one that I looked to was LTX Studio. So I went with LTX Studio, and this is the homepage for the site, and it pretty much gives you a little overview of what it's about. Visualize your concept, AI-powered visual storytelling from concept to delivery in one seamless platform. So this is more than just simply AI-generated videos. You can actually, as it kind of talks about, construct a whole complete story or movie, even from idea and concept all the way to, in theory, finished final product. So it's actually potentially a very useful tool. Now, I started out with the free tier, and let's just look at the pricing real quick before we jump into some of the actual visuals. But I started out with the free tier, and there's four subscription tiers to LTX Studio. I started out with the free tier, which obviously $0 a month, but I quickly upgraded to the community tier, which is $8 a month. The next level up is the standard tier, which is $35 a month, and then the highest tier is business tier, which is $175 a month. Now, the biggest differences between the tiers is the amount of computing seconds you get per month. And simply put, computing seconds, that's every time you do a generation within LTX Studio, you enter some information that changes the way your creation is going to look. Every time you do that, it uses computing seconds. So with the free tier, you get 36,000 computing seconds a month. Community tier, you get 8,600 computing seconds a month. Standard tier, you get 29,000. I might have said 2,900. I meant 29,000 computing seconds a month. With the standard tier, with the business tier, you get 90,000 computing seconds a month. Plus, with the business tier, you have the option for commercial use to make commercial use of your creations for a target audience of up to 100,000. All the other tiers, standard, community, and free, are all for personal use only. And personal use, they have it described as just for personal social media and websites only. This excludes promotional and sponsored content or partnerships. There still seems to be some gray area, though, in what qualifies as personal social media and websites and all those different types of things. But just to put it roughly, if you want to make money off of your creations to cover all your bases, you're probably going to want to be in the business tier. And that $175 a month, that's a lot. That is a lot. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more on the back end. It is a lot, but if you're making money off of your creations, maybe it's not a lot. You know what I mean? But we'll talk more about that. But let's get into my profile so we can just kind of take a quick rough look at just what potential there is here with this. So once you are into your profile, this is kind of what your home screen looks like. It says, how would you like to start? Now, you can start with an idea, where you just turn any idea or simple prompt to a fully realized project, and you would start by just writing a prompt. Or you can start with a script. This is where you would input a script or a synopsis to generate them precisely as written. So you would start out by inputting text, or you can start from scratch. And this is where you just start with a blank canvas and craft your storyboard shot by shot. I personally always like the start from scratch thing. I have messed around with the start with an idea and things like that, and I definitely see the use case for it. But start from scratch is just a nice place to start, because maybe you're not even really trying to do a full story. You might just want to generate a few kind of interesting videos just for social media or something like that. So let's take a look at start from scratch and what that kind of looks like. So when you click on start from scratch, you get a project overview. You can name your project. It says movie name, but maybe you're just doing one simple scene, maybe not a full movie. So just really just whatever your project is going to be. So project name, you pick your aspect ratio, and then you have video style. The default is cinematic, but you have tons and tons of other types of styles you can choose from. So let's just do something real quick just to kind of mess around with this here. So I'm gonna just leave it as 2 words. I feel like it's 1 word though, but anyways, footsteps in the forest. We'll keep the aspect ratio like that, like 16:9. So cast, here's where you can add your characters. I'm just gonna add 1 character, and this character is going to be Bigfoot. Age, let's just say 45. Appearance, a tall hulking ape-like bipedal creature covered in brown and red fur. And so as you enter information about your characters, their visual image will generate and change over here in this window. So we got character name Bigfoot, age 45, appearance a tall hulking ape-like bipedal creature covered in brown and red fur. So this is the image that we got from that description of the appearance. This works well enough. Clothing, not going to put anything for clothing. Voice, but I guess I should explain this. If this was like just a person or somebody that had some sort of attire, somebody that was actually wearing clothes, you would describe their clothing, and as you're typing in their clothing, you would see their appearance start to change to correspond with the information that you're inputting, right? And then down here you also have a voice. You can pick a voice for your character. There's lots of different options, male and female voices of just varying moods and just tones and all that type of stuff. I'm actually not going to pick a voice for Bigfoot in this situation. So then you'll just hit apply. And so now we have our character here, Bigfoot. So we'll just, you can add a character if you want. We're keeping this simple. I want to just show one simple basically scene. So we're just going to have 1 character. So we have Bigfoot. Video style, cinematic is the default. I'm probably going to leave it on cinematic, but just to give you an idea of the different styles, let's kind of change some styles. So that's cinematic here. So say I wanted to do anime. So if I click anime, now you'll see Bigfoot will start to change over here to reflect the anime style. And now this is our anime style Bigfoot. This looks like almost like a character from Street Fighter or something. But yeah, so let's take a look at some other styles. Maybe let's try 3D model. So enter that information. He starts to regenerate. All right, so this one actually took a long time to generate, but this is the 3D model style of Bigfoot. Now I do wonder if it took that long, if there's certain styles that take longer to generate than others and thus end up using more computing seconds, you know what I mean? So maybe, it might be something to keep in mind or to pay attention to. Certain styles might use up more computing seconds than other styles, but this is the 3D model style. And you can also, within the window, if you look up here, you have this button right here where you can regenerate again, but keep the same style, but just regenerate another kind of look but keeping it within the 3D model style. So that's what this kind of refresh type regenerate button right here would mean. And something else to keep in mind is you have this option right here. For each character you have what's called a face switch, and clicking this will allow you to change just the face of that character. You can use this to do face capture type stuff if you want to input your own face or input a particular picture face that you got, you know, off the internet or something like that. Basically, hit the face switch button if you want to start the process for changing your character's face. But as for style, I'm gonna go back to cinematic just because that works the best, I think, for just this character. And then you have style reference. This is where you can drag an image here that kind of looks like the style that you're going for. So maybe it's a screenshot from a movie, or a screenshot from just something online, a TV show, or just a photograph, something that you would like LTX Studio to reference the style from. And then once you do that, down here where it says reference strength, this is, you slide this up and down to control how much of that style from that image is actually used in your project. Okay, and then you have cinematic inspiration. This is where you would just put in certain terms and styles to kind of really describe the feeling and the vibe that you're going for with your project. So you see some examples they have here: retro, gritty, eclectic, stylish, noir. All right, so we're going to click start. And so once we do that, now we're in this screen where it says scene 1. And we're going to keep this real simple. You have scene setting, location. You can put in a location, lighting, describe the lighting, weather, describe the weather, for example, clear skies, stormy, something like that. You have scene style, and you have things involving sound. Just to let it be known, I'm not going to actually really do anything with sound and voiceovers here. I'll talk about the options that are there, but I'm not going to actually actively do anything here, just because a lot of the sound stuff I would do in another program anyways. But anyway, so location, let's just go a moody forest in the Pacific Northwest. Lighting, I'm gonna just say nighttime, moonlight and shadows. Weather, I'll keep it at clear skies, and I'm not going to mess around with any of the other stuff. Scene style, click that, you have, yeah, this is just all of the stuff that we already kind of went over. Video style, style referencing, all of that type of stuff. So we'll keep it like that. And then let's go over here and look at an actual, let's generate our scene. So for prompt, I'm going to go at, and then we're going to input Bigfoot. So when you want to actually be specific about what your character is doing in a scene, you want to click at, and then a list of your characters that you've already created will come up, and you'll pick which character you're talking about. We only created one character here, Bigfoot, so we're going to click him. So at Bigfoot is through the trees. All right, Bigfoot is walking through a forest at night. He is illuminated by the moonlight coming through the trees. I have no idea if this is actually gonna produce anything close to what I'm asking for, but we'll see. That's the prompt. And then we have shot type. So this is now up here. This is the image that was generated based off of just the prompt part. I haven't did anything with shot type or anything, but this is the image that was generated. I'm actually going to, that's fine. That works for whatever we're trying to do. I'm not actually trying to make a big thing here anyways. Doesn't really matter, I guess, what it looks like. Now here we have shot type, and this is where you can go through a selection of different types of shots: close up, wide shot, medium shot, bird's eye view, establishing shot, etc. We'll just go with establishing shot. So we're going to see what it looks like. Yeah, and I mean, that's fine. It's not perfect. Obviously the legs look kind of short and stumpy, but I mean, some of the mood is there. I do like the kind of dark mood of it all. But anyway, so that's that. We have character dialogue. Not going to do anything with that, but if your character was going to be speaking in this scene, this is where you would mess around with that. Same thing with the sound effects. Not going to be adding any sound effects, but if you wanted to choose sound effects from within LTX Studio, this is where you could do it. You could also, I'm pretty sure you can import your own sound effects as well, but I guess don't quote me on that. But so we're not going to do any dialogue or sound effects. So now what you could do here is you could just go ahead and click generate video, or what you can do is go into shot editor to kind of get a closer look at things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click shot editor. And so this is our kind of still frame from our potential video here. And within shot editor, this is where you can kind of change things like the motion. What we'll do though is we're going to keep natural motion. And within the motion, you can, scene motion, natural motion, extreme motion. I like natural motion, which is a mix of subject motion and moderate camera movement. Typically, I've gotten kind of the best, most consistent results by using natural motion. You can also do, there's camera control things you can do, and there's keyframing things you can do. I've tried the camera control thing. It was kind of hit and miss. I didn't get a good enough result to kind of speak to you as if I know the best way to use it or whatever the case may be. And I haven't even tried any of the keyframing stuff, but these are just other options for motion things you can do within your scene. And then we have scale here, and then we have duration of the scene: 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 9 seconds, 12 seconds. For this one, I'm actually gonna go with 12 seconds just to kind of see what it'll do with the longer runtime. And with that same thing in mind, I want to point out over here in the shot editor area, after you've generated a clip from one of your 4 previews, when you come down here, over here on the side, let me find it. Yeah, over here on the side, you have these kind of 3 options right here. This first one is for upscale, and then you have this middle one here that says extend duration, and this bottom one here that says variation, and it says coming soon. So it's something that you can't really do anything with as of yet. But upscale, this obviously will allow you to upscale your generation to an even more kind of better quality. So I didn't initially talk about that in this video, so I did this edit to make sure to point out that this option is here to upscale your generation. And then extend duration, keeping in mind with the talking about duration and things like that, you can actually make your video longer than just this 12-second duration by utilizing this extend duration. So I actually had a clip, I'm not sure which one it was, but I know it originally was a 12-second one, and I used the extend duration option here to turn it into a 24-second clip. So don't necessarily think that you're limited to just 12-second clips in scenes. You can actually utilize the extend duration option to make an even longer scene. So these are just things I wanted to make sure to mention. All right, back to the video. Yeah, so that's fine. So let's go ahead and click generate video, and let's see what we get. And we're going to get 4 different previews, and then we'll pick one of these previews. I mean, you could pick more, but we're going to pick one of these previews to actually fully generate and see what it looks like. And so within these previews, what it's kind of showing you is a rough idea of maybe what some of the motion will look like and some of the timing maybe, but you really won't really get a good idea of what it's going to look like until you actually generate it. Because if you actually look at all 4 of these, they all kind of look like Bigfoot is, for the most part, doing the same thing in each one, with just the motion looking a little bit different in terms of the timing and the herky-jerky nature. So what we'll go with out of all of these, we'll go with this one up here in quadrant 2. So we'll click generate, and when we do that, now we'll get the kind of more full size, I guess, video generation. All right, so this, I guess, is our video here. And so the you know, it looks like some AI some AI generated stuff in terms of it's just kind of very unrealistic, Elseworld, very surreal like kind of look to it, you know, things kind of morphing and changing over the course of the runtime. But it's still, there is something somewhat mesmerizing about it, just the nature of it, because you can see what you can make out what's happening, the setting, the creature. All right, so you see as the runtime goes on, the face starts to kind of it starts to distort a little bit, and the creature, Bigfoot, starts to kind of come apart a little bit, like still staying together, but starts to look a little bit more like unnatural, if you will. But it's an interesting thing. So that's an idea of just that process. Now, obviously, to do a full production, you would repeat that a lot, because you'd have a lot of different scenes. You tell your story however you see fit for your story. But so what we can do, let's actually do this. Let's go back. Let's click on start with an idea just to see what that looks like. So you write your film idea or synopsis, and this is where you would just write your idea. And some examples are down here where it says crash survivor, a man who survives a plane crash, virtual nightmare, an innovative virtual reality platform, fulfills users' fantasies but becomes a nightmare. So this is just giving you some examples of what, you know, kind of how to go about writing your idea, what an idea or a synopsis looks like. So you just, you know, makes it a little bit easier to write one out, you know what I mean? So let's cancel that. So that's start with an idea and then start with the script. Let's click on that. This is where in this box you would just input, you know, as it says, a full script or just a few scenes or just a simple story. You would type that in this box. You have 12,000 characters to get it done. That seems like plenty space to take care of that. And let's go back. And then start from scratch is what we just kind of went over. So let's take a look at some of the things that some of the little like scenes and stuff that I've already done, just to give you more examples of some of the possibilities and how good or bad some of this stuff can look. So right here, this is the Bigfoot one that we just did. This is another thing I want to mention. For some reason, the thumbnails for your projects that they create automatically oftentimes don't look anything like your actual project. You can see right here, we didn't have any character that looked like this in that actual project, but for some reason they make the thumbnail look like this. Same thing with all of these. Let's look at this one right here, Autumn Falls. This is one that I did pretty much when I kind of first started, or at least I started it when I first downloaded LTX Studio or started, you know, working with it. And it's just it's one scene that kind of has two shots, but they don't really go together. I was just going for a certain mood, a horror autumn time gothic type mood. And so this first one here, this is just a man walks through a moody autumn forest at night. It says Minnesota Man. That was a mistake on my part because there's actually a character that had that name. Let's actually go up here at the cast. That's Minnesota Man right there. That's a character that I put in. I did a stupid, goofy, cheap short movie a long time ago, and there was a character in it named Minnesota Man, and that's him right there. But when I went to do the prompt, I didn't do at Minnesota Man. I just put Minnesota Man. So LTX Studio just had just a generic man, I guess from Minnesota in theory, walking here instead of the actual character that I created, but I liked what they generated anyway, so I just kept it or whatever. So, but let's go full screen with this and take a look at what this shot looks like. So this is just a guy, hoodie and jeans, walking through an autumn forest. Very kind of little bit of a moody tone to it, which I really like this time of year. I love the autumn season. And so that's what the vibe is right there. Let's play it one more time. Just a 9-second runtime. Now this is one of those AI videos that, you know, it looks good for what it is. I mean, for just typing something and getting a video from it, it actually looks good. But obviously, if you look closely at it, you can see the AI nature of it. If you look at his ankles and his walking motion, you can kind of see some things that look a little bit unnatural, even though, again, I do think the overall shot I actually like. I like the mood that it evokes. So that was that one. And then this next one, this is my favorite one right here by far. This is the prompt for this one was a hooded figure with a skull face jumps down and starts to run. It's a wide shot. Very simple prompt, but let's take a look at our results with this here. Play and take a look at how it looks. So this is like, I love the way it looked in the very beginning. Now you see the same thing happens that kind of happened with Bigfoot. The character starts to come apart as the duration goes on. Now this works though for this particular shot because it's supposed to be a horror type scene. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to have a little bit of a spooky nature to it. Autumn time, Halloween, just all of that type of stuff. It's supposed to have all that energy. So the fact that it gets kind of freaky works for the actual image. Our character starts to just kind of like disintegrate but stay together at the same time. He starts to just turn into almost starts to liquefy a little bit, but not completely. And it's kind of ghostly as well. There's something just kind of spooky about it. It works. It wasn't intentional. You know, in a perfect world, the character would have stayed intact and stayed, you know, quote unquote normal throughout the whole runtime. But the AI nature of it does work for it in this particular situation because of the style. So there's that one. And now let's go back and look at a couple more, and then we'll kind of end this video. This one right here was just a secret agent in a city alley at night, brick walls, wet pavement, LED backlighting. So yeah, let's go ahead and press play on this to see what it looks like. And so you kind of a similar thing with this, as you know, the face is, it's obviously a face, but it's clearly distorted. And the motion isn't natural. I mean, there is some natural kind of, you know, there's a recognizable human, I guess humanity doesn't seem like the right word to use, but there's a recognizable kind of like human motion to the character. But there's also an unnaturalness to the motion as well, which kind of pretty much describes a lot of AI stuff. It's like, looks real, but not real at the same time. And that's what we have going on here. But what impresses me about this is just the whole environment, the lighting, the mood, the background. Like, it's actually like the overall stuff is very good. It's just kind of the details that need to get smoothed out as the technology gets better. You know, the faces, the facial details are obviously super wonky. Details in the hands and fingers, that's always wonky with AI. And just movement in the ankles and the feet. There's just different things that, you know, are clearly, you know, need to improve and probably will over time. But I like the lighting and just the overall just possibilities that this kind of invokes. So there's that one. And then we got two more. This one right here, this is Wheels in the City. All this is just the prompt for this was just a red Dodge Magnum drives down a city street. Shot type, I made it bird's eye view. Yeah, for the scene setting, location, I said a city street at night. Lighting, I said contrasting light and shadows, and I said glowing city lights, I guess, probably what I said. Yep. Clear weather, that's all, just very simple. Let's take a look at what it looked like. Let's press play. And so right off the bat, you can see again the very obvious AI generated nature of this scene. You got the obvious, the dead giveaway of just the squiggly, unlegible signs on the buildings and things like that, the neon signs and whatnot. You also, as the camera pans down, if you look in the background, you can see just the road in the background just starts to look wavy, and just pretty much everything in the background starts to look wavy and just kind of wonky and distorted. Now the thing about it is that, but you can see why this would be very effective for storyboarding, because you still get the general idea. And that's, if you've ever seen the hand-drawn storyboards that just, traditionally have been used in Hollywood, those storyboards obviously don't just like look perfect. It's not like perfect artwork, but it drives home the point of what the shot and the mood of the shot is supposed to look like. And that's a similar thing with a lot of these generations in LTX Studio. Like this right here, even though there's a lot of just obviously mistakes with the details, you do get a good idea of the vibe of the environment. Just you get the glowing lights, you get the street lights, the shadows, just the environment. Like, even though like a movie director could see this shot and go out and be able to almost perfectly recreate the mood based on the information that you get from this shot. So I definitely see the use case for storyboarding with this, if you have the money to buy all of those computing seconds, because again, that stuff does add up. So let's go back and let's look at our last one. This is a woman jogging. The location for this was just a cobblestone walkway in a park. Lighting, I said blue hour lighting. It didn't really give me that, but that's fine. Weather, clear. And so the prompt for this, the woman's name was Runniyana. I was just being stupid because she's running or whatever. So her name is Runniyana, and she jogs down a cobblestone pathway. Autumn leaves are on the ground. Simple prompt. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Let's go ahead and press play. 12-second runtime. And this is what we get. So once again, it's a mixture of impressive and the wonky. The face is, it's clearly a woman's face, but the details are, again, I keep using the word, but are wonky. Like they're kind of morphing and changing over time, but the description stays the same, but the details change. It's, she's got the red lipstick that stays there throughout the whole runtime, but the lips kind of change a little bit, the eyes change a little bit, the nose changes a little bit, but the general idea of the person stays intact throughout the whole scene. This is a major improvement over what we got with that Bigfoot generation and that kind of skull face character generation, because both those generations, those two almost started to kind of come apart and almost disintegrate over the course of the runtime. With this one, the woman stays intact. Her face does, the details of her face does some crazy things, but her general body and form stays pretty intact. And the hands, once again, if you look at the hands, they're really going through it over the course of this runtime. At certain points they look halfway normal, and then at other points they just look crazy, where it looks like she has 13 fingers on one hand and just all of that type of stuff. But then once again, some of the environmental details, like the background, just the whole overall composition of this shot, I actually like. I like the cobblestone pathway bordered by trees on each side, the fall leaves. This is, I'm a fan of how this came out, simply because I know down the road the details on that face will be so much better. Now, whether maybe depending on how you feel about AI video generation, maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. This improving might not be good to some people, while it would be good to others. You know what I mean? It kind of depends on how you feel about AI generated imagery and things like that. So, and that was the last one. So that's all that I've done so far with LTX Studio. I haven't did any heavy heavy usage. I've just kind of tested out certain things to see what was possible and what it would do with relatively simple prompts. Haven't really tried to do anything too complicated or anything like that. So there's that. One more thing about the pricing, and then we'll get out of here. So let's go back, look at the pricing here. I talked about the business tier being $175 a month. That is expensive for just a software subscription in general, compared to all the other very common softwares. To give an example, if you have a DaVinci Resolve, Adobe with Lightroom and Photoshop, and Midjourney, if you have all of those, that's only going to run you about, depending on which Adobe package you have. For me, that's only like 50 some odd dollars a month, right? Because DaVinci Resolve, if you get the studio, there's the free version, but even the studio version is only a one-time payment. It's not like you keep paying for it forever, right? So pay for it one time and then it's free, forever. So that's comparatively, just one AI generating software in LTX Studio is $175 a month. It's kind of like, compared to, 3 or 4 softwares that you can use for $55 a month, because my Midjourney subscription is only $30 a month, So I think I got all my numbers right there. So basically what I'm saying is, it is a lot of money, the business tier, but if you're making good money from some of the things that you generate, then maybe it's worth it. But I do think the $8 a month community tier, which is what I've been using, I do think that is worth it. So that's kind of a little bit of an overview of LTX Studio, how you can get started with it and how much it costs, the different tiers and all of those type of things, if it's worth it. One of the other big differences between the business tier and the other 3 lower tiers is that you can get 10 collaborators per project, as opposed to only 5 collaborators per project with the other lower tier. So I'm going to cut the video short there. This felt like a long video, but I'm going to do a lot of editing down, so hopefully it's not as long as the video kind of felt recording it, because there was a lot of generating time, waiting for things to generate and things like that. So a lot of that was involved. So this feels like a long video right now. Maybe the final video won't be that long, but we will see. So that is the video, LTX Studio. Check it out. I do think you should check it out if you're kind of curious about AI video generation. Where I stand on it right now, it's interesting, but I don't think, for me, it's not a game changer just yet, but it's on its way to being a disruptor, I'll say. How, to me, the term disruptor covers all the bases of whether you think it's a positive thing or a negative thing. The term disruptor applies, I think. So, one of those terms I think everybody can be happy with, regardless of how they actually feel about AI generation. You know what I mean? So that is the video, you guys. LTX Studio, check it out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too long of a video. We'll see though. So that's it. Catch you on the next one. Thanks.